Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking.
Welcome aboard Truly Expat Travel, where we're ditching the guidebooks, fastening our seatbelts, and diving into real stories from travellers who have traded the ordinary for the extraordinary, proving the world really is too big to be left unexplored. Cabin crew, be seated and ready for takeoff. Today's episode, I'm so excited. For those who have been listening to my previous Truly Expat podcast, they will recognize this face and this voice, I should say. But we also have another special guest. So we have Jen and Brett come on to talk about, I'll let them introduce themselves. So let's start with hello, how are you? And let's hear about your expat journey.
Paula, thank you so much for having us. I'm Jen. This is Brett. We are from Birmingham, Alabama, and now we live in Merida, Yucatan, Mexico. And we got to move here by helping other Americans also move abroad. And so that's the business that we're in. It's called Expatsy.
Excellent. And I will actually put all the show notes, all the links. So that if anyone does want to get in touch with Jen and Brett, they can do so through the link. Let's find out, where do you live and how exactly you got to that destination?
Do you want to share?
I live in Merida, Yucatan, Mexico, which is in the southeast peninsula of the country. We moved here just about 2 years ago. We drove our Nissan and 4 animals and everything we own over about 4,400 kilometers in 8 days to arrive here. And we have loved our life here ever since.
Mm-hmm. And what made you choose there of all? Because I know that we've spoken about this before, but for those who haven't heard our previous episode, what made you decide Mexico in general?
Okay, so we had no idea where to go. We just knew that we wanted more. We wanted something besides what was going on in the U.S., and we had no idea where to start. And it took us about 8 years really to get moved. And a big part of that was trying to decide where. So we sat down and figured out where we could go. If we saved all our money and then maybe I could retire and then maybe Brett would work remote and this and that. And then where we wanted to go. So what did we want for time zones and proximity and weather and cost of living and human rights and all those things. And came up with a top 10 list. And we were going to visit 10 countries over 10 years because, we were talking about Americans don't travel enough. And so it was going to take 10 years to visit 10 countries. And then we were going to choose our favorite. And we were going to go to Costa Rica first. And then I came across some TikTokers. This is 2021. And so I was absolutely I still am obsessed with TikTok, but it was even more so then. And some guys had moved to Merida and I was like, look at this place. It looks amazing. Never heard of it in my life. I said, let's go here first. Let's try it out. And we came and visited. And listen, it's not for the faint of heart. They call it the furnace of Mexico. And Mexico is not a chilly place to begin with, and it's the hottest part. But we came and visited, and we just loved the culture and the community so much. And on the flight home, I said, let's get you a drink. And you got a drink. Well, I want to tell you something. I don't want to wait 10 years. I want to figure out how to make this happen now. And my thought was, we can't be alone, right? We can't be the only ones going through this who want to move abroad, don't know how, don't know where to go. What if we took all this research we did to get to this point and we started a business and then we used that to move sooner so that we didn't have to wait until I could retire? And so that's what we did.
Wow. It's brave. It's really brave. I think a lot of people don't realize when you uplift your whole life and move, it's brave, but it's also exciting and rewarding.
For sure.
At the same time. You just got to decide it, make the move, and then, head out. So you did say it was hot. So what is the best time to travel there if it's really hot?
To travel to Merida, I would say right around the beginning of the year. January, February tend to be the coolest months, relatively speaking. And so that's when we first came down here, was January 2022.
For our scouting.
trip. And then we came back during the hot months in August because we tell people generally see your new country at its best, see it also at its worst. So make sure you can handle it. Just see if you can hang.
Yeah. Also, January is Merida Fest. So Merida always has free arts and culture events all the time. But in January especially, they do a ton of events. So it's a great time to come and see the city.
Okay. So is it a very arty place?
It's not as artsy as, say, we were just in Oaxaca for a week. It's not as artsy as Oaxaca or as Mexico City or maybe San Miguel de Allende, because at the end of the day, it's kind of a workaday city, which is great for us because we're living a workaday life. Mm-hmm. But in the city center, there's a huge amount of arts and culture.
And so what type of food, is it different food in that region than it is in other places in Mexico? Okay, let's get into it then. So what do I need to try if I come? What is the top food?
My personal favorite in Yucatecan cuisine would be the cochinita pibil.
Okay, please explain.
Pibil is a slow roasted pork marinated in a sour orange, which is very common in this region. So it comes out, it's very juicy. It's very flavorful. That's my first favorite dish whenever I first came here to Merida, and love it every chance I get.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And it makes sense. We're from Alabama, of course, and pulled pork, slow cooked pulled pork is normal cuisine for us. Mm-hmm. But I don't love the sour aspect of it, but he loves it. And as long as he loves it, he's way pickier than me. So if he finds something he likes, but there are a lot of things that are different here. Like the way that they make tamales, they're a different consistency. And instead of them being wrapped in corn husks, they're wrapped in leaves.
Banana leaves.
Are they bananas?
I think they're banana leaves.
They're banana-esque leaves. But it is different.
So then what would you choose? So if that was not your favorite dish, what would you choose as a dish that you have to try?
Okay, so there's a dish, and it especially comes up during certain holidays, but it's called chiles noales, and I think they do it for Independence Day because it's red, white, and green, like the Mexican flag. And so it's a stuffed chili with a white crema sauce. And then it's covered in pomegranate seeds. So it's it's kind of a spiced meat mixture. So it's kind of sweet, kind of spicy, kind of cheesy.
That sounds good. Actually, they both sound good. And so a drink besides tequila, what is a drink you have to try when you're there?
Okay, so we do love tequila. We do love tequila and mezcal. I love a Paloma. I will drink a Paloma all day long. Now, I also love Topo Chico. That's what I'm drinking right now. So a fizzy water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
With no alcohol.
Yeah. My alcohol drink is a mezcalita. Yep. It's kind of a take-on margarita. Mezcal is made from the agave plant, just like tequila is. And so it's kind of spicy. It's also made it's also smoky from the mezcal and how they produce it. And it's got a little bit of a kick to it, but also in the blend is the hibiscus flower. So it's got a smoothness to it that kind of levels off the smokiness and the spiciness. I'm a big fan whenever we can go to a local cantina.
You also like that mundet.
Yes. I really much love an apple soda here. It's called a Sidral Mundet.
Yeah, it's fizzy apple soda.
Okay, and you find that just in normal shops, or is it made on
no,
in a can or
at the bottled?
It's bottled.
Okay. If you wanted a local drink, everywhere you can get horchata or aguas frescas or juices. And so they do Jamaica, which we say Jamaica, but Jamaica or tamarind or different
coconut waters are also very common here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That would make sense.
Yeah, that's just like my Disney water.
Yeah, me too. So if I was coming there and I only had a few days, what would an itinerary, not just like hotspots that everyone has to go to, but what would you do if you brought someone there for a few days? What would the itinerary look like?
I have brought someone here for a few days, and this is what we would do. So the first thing, and it depends on the season, but you have to go see the flamingos.
Okay.
There are different ecological spots where flamingos gather. There's one in particular in a town called Celestine, and I mean, it is tens of thousands of flamingos on the water, and you can ride out in a little boat and see them all feeding and their babies. And then you go through the mangroves and take a dip in a sulfur pond and things like that. Then you would have to go to a cenote. So here where we live is about 15 or 20 miles from where the meteor struck that killed the dinosaurs.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And so there are some like cheesy kind of touristy things around dinosaurs, but also it created these underground pools all over the peninsula. So some of them are fully underground, some of them are above ground, and some of them are half and half, but they're called cenotes. And so it's like going to swim at the bottom of a well. And then imagine that it's 110 degrees. What is that? 48 degrees outside.
Hot.
Yes. And then you get into the most perfect, coolest, placid pond and dip, and it's $1 or whatever. And all kind of people are there just sort of bobbing around. It's super pleasant. Then I would go to a hacienda and have them serve you something like cochinita pibil made. So the pibil is the clay oven in the ground where they cook the meat, slow cook the meat. So I would have a customary meal, and then I would go to Mayan ruins. So there are, there's more pyramids in Mexico than any other country in the world. And where we live, there are a ton. And our favorite is called Uxmal, and it is just a beautifully preserved Mayan city. And get a tour guide there. They have like a PhD in teaching history or doing tours. And so they'll tell you all about how the Mayans lived and the way that they used the aqueducts. And there's a university and there's a stadium. It's just absolutely fascinating. So that is what I would do, bar none. And then speaking of cenote, you know Costco, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a Costco, and there's a cenote in the parking lot of the Costco because they were they were redoing the parking lot, and they found the cenote. So of course they had to preserve it. So it's a normal Costco with a normal parking lot, but then in the middle is this protected area with lights, and there's a cenote.
That's so bizarre. Do you know, I remember we went in one when we actually renewed our vows in Mexico when we hit 25 years. That's how old I am. But one of the things I really wanted to do was go and swim in one, and we did. And it's so deep. So deep. I'm so surprised how deep it is.
They scuba dive in them. Dive in them. Yes. We were
No wonder I couldn't touch the ground.
No, absolutely not. And some scuba divers came and dived, and we never saw them again. The whole time we were, I don't know how far they went. It was like the abyss.
That's too funny. So for those who want to visit, do you need to have a car, or is public transport okay, or do you catch taxis? How do you get around?
So it depends. Like I said, we drove here, and that's a big benefit to people from the U.S. because you can actually drive a U.S. plated car here as long as you are a tourist or a temporary resident.
Okay.
So we just, tooled on up in our car with our U.S. plates. And so we have it, and it's nice. beyond that, there are Ubers, and Didi is a local brand of Uber. They're really affordable. There's also a really good hybrid bus system called Va-E-Ven.
Okay.
And then there's the train now that can take you to Campeche or to Cancun. A lot of people fly in and out of Cancun because it's our big, huge international airport that's not that far away. Or there are little things like colectivos or whatever else. But that's what I'd recommend. I wouldn't recommend renting a car unless you get a good deal, because that's where they can get you. It can be really expensive here to rent a car.
Ah, okay. That's a good tip.
Mm-hmm.
And if I wanted to buy souvenirs and I didn't want a magnet, what would you suggest I purchase, or where would I get a great souvenir?
So there's a big market downtown. It's called Lucas de Galvez, I believe is the name. It's definitely Galvez Market, and it's just sprawling. It goes over many, many, many blocks. And a lot of people, you have to be careful because there are so many beautiful handcrafts in Mexico. And there are also people who have knocked off those crafts in China and import them. So you want to be careful. But, each region of Mexico has customary clothes, and you can find the traditional Mayan patterns. And then for women, it's like shirts with these beautiful flowers embroidered on, and it's just fantastic.
Okay.
And then for guys, they have what are called gayabara shirts, and they kind of look like, if you think about Cuban shirts, which makes sense because Cuba is not that far from where we are.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, in Yucatan, fiber arts are just phenomenal. The wealth in this region came from henequen fibers. So, that they used to make rope and things like that.
Yep.
And so you can find beautiful hammocks or macrame arts. So I would pick something like that.
Okay, that's good. I think a lot of times people are steered towards the Chinese knockoff stuff in every country. So that's a good little tip for people to know. Let's go back to your time there. Like when you first arrived there, what was your aha moment that was like, okay, this is my place. This is where I want to live?
Okay, so we each have one. For me, it was the first night we got here on our scouting trip. For us, it was during the pandemic, or essentially it was 2022. So in the US, we were kind of in a post-pandemic world, and we'd been vaccinated for a year or so. But here, the COVID precautions were very much in full force. Now, I know that for people from like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, that is not appealing because the COVID lockdowns were so stringent. And I'm aware of that. But for us in the US, it was the absolute Wild West. And not only that, it was another flashpoint for these super divided culture that's going on in the US right now. So we, for example, had decided to be pretty cautious and try not to get it. And it was a big sticking point with family that we wore masks or that we didn't come home for Christmas in 2020. And that was really stressful for us. And so when we came to Merida and there was 100% mask compliance, it was just such a relief. And then, when we went to dinner the very first night, it was, first of all, we got to the restaurant and it turned out to be at someone's house, which is really common here, but we didn't know that yet.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So on Google Maps, places will have branding, a name, 422 5-star reviews. And then you get there and it is fully in someone's yard. And it's fantastic. But when you first rock up and you're like, what are we going to get? I mean, you're expecting there to be a mall or businesses or something. And it's like, oh no, it's just that guy's house. And so everybody would put hand sanitizer on you and check your temperature, which had never happened in the US. And again, this is 2022. Wow. And the messaging was, and it was painted everywhere, I'll take care of you, you'll take care of me, and we'll take care of each other. And coming from this place where Americans are just at such loggerheads, and it's genuinely ugly. Like it's not fun and games or cute. Like it is deadly serious. And to just see that everyone was like, yeah, of course we're going to take care of each other. I was just, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And so anyway.
So for me, it was also about people taking care of each other. When we were here on our scouting trip, we had a trip to the mall. Jen had a bit of an accent. She was dealing with a sunburn that day. She had this long frilly purse. And to make it short, she fell out right in the middle of the mall.
It's so hard for you to explain what the sunburn and the frilly purse had to do with anything.
Okay, so she had a serious sunburn from being out at the beach earlier that day. She's got this purse with these long fringe at the end, holding out at one side. Her mask was half broken, so she's holding her mask on with her other hand. And basically, she's
in platform shoes.
And she's got these huge, chunky platform shoes, falls flat out on her butt. Before I could even look over and make sure she's okay, we've got 5 people gathering around us to make sure she has not hurt herself, 3 people to help her get off the ground, and at least 2 women willing to testify against whoever tripped up this poor young woman and threw a ball, because certainly they are liable for this injury. And to be so taken care of in such a quick amount of time by complete strangers who did not even share a common language with us that we could understand easily made so much to me, because it really did indicate that we are part of a community here, a community that has largely been left behind in the U.S. when we were there. And I felt so encouraged by that, and I wanted to be a part of that so much we couldn't wait to move here.
That's so nice. Both of those stories are nice. Funny, but nice. I don't mean to laugh at you, but I just love. I could see it.
You have to. Like there is no. You have to laugh at everything that's going on. There. You lose your mind.
Both of those sound like I think that's the thing when you move to a place and you don't feel like part of the community, because I've done that before. It's hard to live there. Like really hard to live there. But if you are embraced and they like foreigners, then it's a perfect place to live. So then it comes to the last little interesting bit. So in terms of secret locations that only locals know, do you recommend, is there anywhere that you can share any hidden gems?
Yeah, we have one.
Okay.
Our favorite place is a beach called Sisal. It's spelled Sisal, and I think it comes from the same name as the fibers.
Oh, okay.
Used to make rope or hammocks.
Yeah. It is not the easiest beach to get to, but it is so worth it. And then at that beach, there is a beach club called Palmar.
Palmar, yeah.
Palmar. And you have to spend $15 to go to the beach club. And they make the best palomas and wood-fired pizzas. And so for the princely sum of $15, you can spend the whole day on the most unspoiled, beautiful beach, in my opinion, on the Gulf of Mexico. And eat pizza and drink.
And eat pizza.
Palomas. And they let you bring your dog.
Yes. Squiggy, our pit bull, absolutely loves going to this beach club. And the beach, the town is just so quiet. It's so unspoiled. Nice. It's a delight to go there, spend the afternoon. We've talked with other locals here that also enjoy going to this small beach town, Sisal. It's the most peaceful place, especially for us coming from where, being in the southern U.S., the Gulf of Mexico is very commercialized. This was just like a local small town, people selling produce from their front porches, and everyone was just so pleasant.
It won't be like that forever. No, through no fault of ours, because it's just really nice. So get out there while you have a chance.
Yeah.
Do you have to have a car to get there?
You don't, but you would need someone's car to get there. So you would either take the bus or have someone drive you there. But there are ways to get there. But you definitely could not walk.
It's a good hour and 15 minutes west of town. So
Okay.
it's a bit of a drive, which is a little bit of a delight. It's a little bit of a
Benefit.
challenge, a benefit,
Yeah.
of course. But then
Yeah.
there's also closer beaches such as Progresso, which is about a half hour's bus ride north of us.
Mhm.
Okay. But I mean, if you're going to do a day trip, it's a good day trip.
If you want to do a
It's
day
only
trip,
an hour away.
yeah,
And
Perfect
it's
location.
so chill.
it's a very,
chill.
very relaxed place. Wonderful if you're just trying to see what Mexico is really about. You take away the
Yeah.
frills and the the vendors, and you take away the business from it and just see what is Mexico, what are its people like. Sisal's
Yeah.
an excellent place to go and find out what that is.
It sounds good. Do you have any tips or recommendations before we end for anyone?
So the thing that I would say, there are two things I would want to say about Mexico. The first is to not be scared of headlines about Mexico. We had a group here recently. There was some cartel violence in Puerto Vallarta. It was super shocking because Puerto Vallarta is a bubble where things like that don't happen. It's not to say that things don't happen anywhere in the country or that there aren't problems, but in Puerto Vallarta, it is just not common. And there was a cartel leader who was killed, and there were some retaliatory events. And mostly what that involved was burning vehicles. We had a group there at the time, and they absolutely stuck it out. And they said that they were so glad that they had been there, because if they had been in the U.S. and seen the way it was portrayed in the media, they probably would have changed their mind about moving there. But because they were there, it was easy for them to see that it wasn't about them, that this was a planned operation that had a beginning and then an end, that it was all property crimes, that they weren't in any danger. And they were glad that they saw it with their own eyes. The way things are portrayed outside of Mexico are so different from what it's like in Mexico. It isn't to say that there aren't places that are very, very dangerous, but the violence tends to be predictable and trackable and local. Where we live in Merida has 1/40th as many murders per capita as the city we come from in the U.S. And we aren't scared in our hometown in the U.S. So why would we be scared here? So that's one thing I would say. And the other thing I would say is to remember that, kind of like visiting the U.S. and, you go to New York and that's the U.S., or do you go to Miami, or do you go to L.A. or Chicago or a million other places? Mexico is the same. It's incredibly diverse. It has people from all over. It has 155 million people, and you could live a million different lives in this one country. It even has every climate zone here, even if it's a little small, teeny amount of polar. And so don't think that the whole of Mexico is Cancun. The whole of Mexico is anything, because it is so many different places in one.
That's good. That's good advice. Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on today. I know that I'm not even sure what time it is there, but I know it's late. So I think it's late. I don't know. Time zones for me is not great.
30.
Okay, not too bad. So thank you again so much for coming on. It's been a treat listening to you. And thank you, Brett. And nice to meet you. And finally, I heard about you last time, so it's nice to actually put a face or a voice, but those listening.
Thank you for having me.
To a name. So excellent. Thank you so much for coming on. And I will put everything in the show notes for those who want to contact you guys, because you do a great job. Yeah. And I'll hopefully speak to you soon.
Thanks so much, Paula. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.